Yeah, just let me say a few words. Very warm welcome from my beset Castle Gimborn. I'm Ulrike. Some of you I met already in person. Some of them I've heard about. And yeah, we are really very, very happy to launch this series of webinars about, women in policing related topics. And our start will be with Kim Hiorth from Norway. And I mean, Kim has led such an interesting life as a police officer, reaching out to really deprived communities, segregated communities, and getting the females in the communities involved in society. And I think you just went further after you retired from your police work. And May-Britt, who's been doing quite a few interviews in the last time and will be doing some more talks, she will talk to you. And I would also just mention that Karen is the head of this project we are running within the IPA, which focuses on women in the IPA. So welcome everybody, and the floor is yours, Kim and May-Britt. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much. So my name is May-Britt Ronnebro. I'm your host today, and I will guide you through this webinar. As Ulrike has told you, we got Kim Hiorth from Norway as our guest speaker, and Kim has also been one of our interviewees that we met through the Policing TV. But today, this is the webinar number 1 of Women in IPA. And Kim, I would like to say very welcome to us. I'm very happy to hand over the words to you. And also we will follow a presentation that will be divided into 3 parts. We will look at her first her policing time, then we will look at what happened due to that and her work as a UN woman, and we will do a final talk about her book that also now will be well, a kind of series on television, what I understand. So we will know everything about this. So Kim, I hand over to you. Very welcome.
Thank you so much, May-Britt. I'm just happy to be here with you all. And right now it's like the evening here, and probably is everywhere where you guys are too, though. When I was 12 years old, I decided, and I told my mom that I wanted to become a police officer. And my mom, she said, that's okay. Boys and girls can become whatever they want to be, but you have to work hard at school. You have to be good, and get good grades and stuff like that. And so I had a couple of kids before I started the police academy. So I went to the police academy in Norway. It's 3 years, the police academy, and with 2 small boys, and I had to deliver them into 2 different daycares before I had to start school in the morning. So those years were kind of, my schedule was very full. But when you are between 20 and 30, you can do anything. You're a superhero. That's what I felt, though. When I first started to work, I worked at the public order department, and I was driving the police car, patrolling around with another colleague. And for me, though, I had a safe and very good childhood upbringing with a good foundation, So for me, to start to experience everything that happened as a police officer, I guess all of you have had that experience. I felt I was thrown into the lion's den. It was a steep learning curve as a young police officer and a mother of 2 small boys. I mean, I met people who had grown up in severe dysfunctional families with sexual abuse, neglect, drugs, and alcohol abuse. Some of these people I met, I got contacts with, and I still follow them today, actually. And no, they used to be kids, now they are adults, and some of them have their own kids. And to be that person that could lend hope to them and help them, to be the only one to help them when they didn't have anybody, that has been great. I mean, I didn't think that just one person could help somebody to get on the right track. Some of these kids, we're the third and fourth generation of families with abuse of drugs and alcohol. And it seems like it's like going sort of in circles. So when I talk to people that I've been trying to help, I said to them that we have to break that circle. You know, we can't just keep on doing this, you know, we have to do something, you know, and some of them are told we have to move to another place, the kids have to start another school, and they have to have close help from the police. Some of the kids told me when they grew up, though, their parents said, don't tell to your teacher or to anybody, you know, about all the problems we have at home. Then the child welfare will come and snatch you from us, you know, and we'll never see you again. And they were also telling me that when they were being invited to birthday parties from their fellow students, they always had to say no, that they couldn't go because their parents said, we don't have any money for you to get a present. So they were sort of, it was hard not to go, and they have to keep the secret. And then when they came to school the other day, they said, why don't you come to our birthday parties? You never come. You're the only one. So for these kids and this to grow up like this, you know, it has been really hard though. But there's always a way out when they have somebody that can help them. And as a police officer, we meet people in a way that others seldom or never do. We are often the last barrier when all the other support in our society is tried out. We are the authority, but we also have the possibility to help and get people back on track. Some of the people that I met during my career have been able to help, so their lives has changed into the better. So I think even if you start out your life bad and you are dealt a bad hand, it doesn't have to end that way. And we have to see that hope. And this is what it's all about, though, that we have to see the hope through the darkness that we're working with. Otherwise, it's getting really hard, though. And when you work on public order department, as you probably all did or have done, though, you know that you are sent to different departments, you're sent to different places. You never know what you're going to meet. We just have to be prepared for things we are not prepared for. But I think that shapes us, and it helps us to see that and be thankful for the good life and the good upbringing we had ourselves. But I think as a police officer, we have a unique possibility to show people that we are there to help you and to build that trust with people. That is not done it's not an overnight miracle. It takes time to build trust. I will say that you build the trust in centimeters and you tear it down in meters, because some people that have nobody to trust, when they see you and you say you will help, you have to do that. I worked 4 years at a public order department, and then I started to work with, I was asked actually by my boss, though, do you want to work with the motorcycle crime and the criminals and the gangs? And I said, yes, though. And I had a driver license to drive the heavy motorcycle bike, the big one. So we were 4 people working with that in the beginning, because in the middle of 1990s, the Hells Angels, the Bandidos, the Coffin Cheaters and Outlaws, they're starting to come to Norway and are starting to build chapters, and they did in Sweden too, or other places in Europe. And we know that all these people, they were criminals, and they were dealing with drugs, prostitution, and breaking all the laws that we had. So we were actually, an insurance company lent us Harley Davidson bike, and we were driving up to these chapters where they were hiring these houses, and actually some of them bought these houses later, though, with money from criminal deeds, though. But anyway, though, we were there and we got contact, and we were arresting them for all the criminal activities we could see that I did. And people are people, and a lot of these people, when I met them, they're hiding behind their vests, long hair, tattoos, you know, bad language, and trying to sort of scare people away. And they didn't like me as a female police officer, and they said, I mean, females should never be a police, and they should never drive and ride a Harley Davidson. You know, that's the worst thing ever. But I had my license, they didn't, and I could do that. So there was lots of incidents though when we were arresting them, and I want to tell you about one incident. I was standing outside the chapter, and somebody had told us that they were going to have this big party there. So we were there, and we were in civilian clothes, and they knew that we were police, but somehow they sort of forgot that we were police people. So I saw this guy, he was dealing drugs with another one. So I was running over there, and I was jumping up to get the drug from him. He was really tall though. And he just turned around and looked at me, and he grabbed my arm and lifted me up from the ground. And I said, put me down, I'm a police, you know, you're arrested. So that's going to be on the movie, actually. So we went back to the police station, and we just started with a computer at that time, you know, because I started out with typewriters, you know, this is like in the old days. And he was sitting there, you know, looking at me, and he said, I'm not going to say anything to you, little girl. I know what I can say. I have to say my name, you know, and when I'm born and all that, you know, and you can't keep me longer than 4 hours. So I was thinking, okay, I just better start then. So he told me his name, and he told me when he was born. And I looked at the calendar, and I saw that that was the day when he had his birthday. So I just stood up and I sang happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you. And I didn't know what I was doing, because he just started to cry like a baby. And he cried and he cried, you know, and I had to go and give him Kleenex. And I said, what happened? Did I like sing that bad? No, he said, it was nice, you know. And then he told me his story, that he was a kid, he grew up with parents, he was abused, you know, and they were alcoholics, and the child welfare snatched him when he was little. But he was allowed to live with his grandma, and he loved his grandma. And when he was 10, it was his birthday, his grandma died, you know, and he said, after that, I didn't want anybody to sing my birthday song. I didn't want anybody to celebrate my birthday at all, because then I had to go back to the child welfare. And then at school and everything, he had trouble with reading and writing, and he peed his bed, he said, you know, when he was for a long time, and he had so much trouble. So he said, and you sang now, you know, normally I should hit you, you know, because I just don't want anybody to sing for me. But I mean, actually, we're starting to build a relationship, and he had kids, you know, that child welfare had taken away from him. And so I helped him so he could visit the kids, you know, and try to sort of give and offer help, you know. And then a lot of things changed, you know, like I got more information, and well, by doing that, you know, we can show that even though people who are really tough, you know, the hardest guys you see, inside they're soft, and they're hurting. So I worked with that for a while, and then there was a problem, you know, with prostitution and trafficking in Oslo. So my boss said we have to look at that too. So we did that, you know, and worked with the girls, and we were able to help a lot of the girls from traffickers. And I see that as a police, we have the possibility and the ability to really be a resource, you know, and help and see people. And it is, or words can be lifting people up, and they can press people down, you know. So, and we can release joy and help them, you know, to see their worth. So that is really important. So I think we should always strive to do the very best, you know, and we can learn from those who have walked the path before us, you know. And as a police officer, I have extraordinary experiences that has shaped my current position. You know, I feel that I'm a different person now than I was when I started police academy. I mean, everything you learn, you know, sort of shapes you to be like a better person if you want to. And I think the life has amazed me and inspired me to go that extra mile for people, because I see that we have the possibility to do that. Like I say, though, everybody has a story. Everybody has experienced something that has changed them. So don't judge a person by the chapter you walked in on. And actually, I have that in my book too, because I think it's so important, you know, that we don't prejudge people. And we have never tried to walk 1 mile in their shoes, you know. Some children are born with a backpack waiting for them, like a heavy backpack, even before they learn to walk, you know, and we have to help these kids. And I see as a police, we have been able to do that. And nobody chooses what family they are born into or their parents. So we have to really be aware of that. And when I was working in the beginning at the public order department, we were able to go home to people who had trouble and make home visits, you know, and see how they were living. And we were able to, because everybody, they were scared of the child welfare. They said, don't tell anybody, you know, they were so scared that they were going to snatch their kids. But I said, they have a lot to offer to help too, though. I mean, the child welfare. I was trying to tell them that they can help you, you know, and some of the families I've been working with, they have poor income, and they can't allow all the kids to go to football or dancing because it costs a lot of money. But I said, we can help you to get that money from the child welfare, you know, because I think it's so important that all the kids can go to football, handball, dance, or theater, or something to do after school. So then they have something that will keep their mind on something positive, and then just hanging around in the malls or in the street. Then they can be contacted by older criminals, you know, to sell drugs and deal with weapons for them, you know, because we see that downtown Oslo, that kids who sort of jump out of the schools, they are an easy target for the older criminals. So we try to really use our forces to prevent that to happen. So yeah. May-Britt, is it next chapter now?
May-Britt should be able to co-host now, to share her screen, because you are co-host.
Yeah, okay. I will have a check on that one, because the PowerPoint didn't work for me when I tried to share some of the photographs that Kim have sent to me, but that's no problem. Well, we need a little break in between, because there are so many stories that Kim can tell us, and her start in life with having 2 children and then starting to educate herself as a police officer. I think it's quite amazing when you think about her dedication. But the dedication is not only for her family, it's also for all those, well, weak people, and they are normally not weak in the way that we might think about them, because they might be rich in what they know and what they can do, but they are weak due to the fact that they don't really understand the rules of the society where they live. And this, I think you did, Kim, quite dedicated in your profession as police officer through the years. Well, if I hasn't got any questions from our audience today, but so I just would like to acknowledge what you've done, and further on we'll also talk about some of those things that you've been recognized for. Something that happened to you when you retired was that you got an offer to start to work not only with this minority women and the police work, you also had an offer to go abroad, and you did some of those trips to quite interesting countries, and you worked for the UN Women. I would be happy if you could share something around that with us as well.
I can do that though. And after that, I can tell a little bit about my minority work with a female minority in Oslo.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. When I retired after 31 years in July 2021, it took about just a few months, and then I got an offer from the UN. And if I wanted to work for UN Women as a police cadre expert to launch the handbook. The UN Women has a handbook, Gender Response in Policing for Women and Girls Subject to Violence. I was wondering, can you put the PowerPoint up so I can show some pictures, or shall we do it later? Yeah, here it is though. So is it possible to move it? Okay, whatever. I was trained and I was asked to go to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Here I am at the Norwegian embassy, actually. So the thing is that I should train the police leaders, and the thought is that the leaders are gonna then again train their subordinates in this handbook. And this is to prevent violence and rape, and actually it's just for people to treat each other good. This is like the main thing though. So in Ethiopia, they have never been colonized, so they didn't speak English or French, so I had to have a former police officer who was translating everything. And when things are translated, it takes double as long time, as as it would have done if I spoke their language or if they understood English. But anyway, we did the best out of everything though. So I was there 2 periods, and I was telling and teaching the leaders about the different, the 15 chapters in the book, in the handbook, and it was a very good handbook. And then I had a workshop with them, and first I had to go to the Minister of Internal Affairs, because he needed to grant me permission to do this work. So here I am at the headquarters in Addis Ababa. I went alone, and I was there telling them about this, and I got all the permissions I needed to do this work. And I also was going to make a gap analysis from a police station in the bushes, sort of, and one in town, and see what they needed. And we went around to a lot of police stations and police universities, and I was presenting the handbook for them. And in the end, we had this workshop. Here we can see from the streets in Addis Ababa, a lot of people were poor. They were living on the streets, and they had a lot of kids. And it was just very heartbreaking to see all these people living on the street, and young kids who again had kids of their own, and they've been raped by a close relative, they said, and I was thinking, this is overwhelming, but we have to start somewhere. So the police people, they were really good people, and they wanted to learn, and they did the best with what means they had. So we were going through all the chapters, how to make their world better, their city better, and the police work better. So I insisted that I wanted to have the first responders on this training too. And some said to me, but they're not police people. But I said, they are so important, because they are the first persons that women who are going to report abuse, rape, or mistreat from their husbands or their fellow or others. They come to these first responders, and it's so important how they answer them, so they don't prejudge them or say, oh, it's your own fault, or stuff like that, So after, well, in the end, they said they granted me to have them with though when we were having the workshop, and I said, you guys are so important, because you see these people first, be good, give them a water bottle, give them be nice to them, you know, and believe, listen, you know, and be good to them. So I was just trying to change, you know, to work on their minds, you know, then we have to really don't prejudge people. And I was coming back 2 months later. I have another month there. And then I was doing the training of the trainers. We went to another place. I think it was like 2 hours away. We all stayed in from Addis, outside Addis. We stayed in an hotel here. We were training and going through the chapters. I made group work for the trainer, for the leaders, you know, so they could work very good with that, you know, come up with answers that would help them in their situation, in their daily life, because they know what they need the very best though. I was just coming from abroad trying to present this though. I met a lot of great people and they were really doing their very best though, but they had lack of money at the police stations too, and there were a lot of things they lacked though. So when I wrote my gap analysis, there were a lot of things they needed, but I had to do things that didn't cost a lot of money. So what I saw though from all the police stations we went to visit and to when I was presenting, I saw that they all had this long hallway with benches on each sides, and here were all the people who were reporting, who were going to report a thing to the police, or people who were arrested. They were sitting in the same room. I mean, so the women who were who came there to report rape or abuse, you know, it could happen that they could sit beside the perpetrator. And I was thinking, this is so wrong. So I said that to the leaders, we have to change that, you know, we have to make separate entrances for the women so they could go in another way. And they said, why? We always had it like this, you know, because this is something that happens to all. I think we had it, and why should we change it though? But I came with new eyes, sort of looking at this. So actually that happened. They made a separate entrances for the women and the kids, you know, so that was really great though. So people can say, well, that's very little baby steps, but we have to start with baby steps when we are going to do a change though. So that was a really great work though. And I think UN, they have projects like this in 21 countries in Africa. But right now I had a meeting and they said that most of the money now at this time goes to the wars in Ukraine and Gaza. So right now it's on hold for a while, and I can see that though, why it is like that. But anyway, though, I just love doing this kind of work though, and see that people are people, no matter where you live on earth though. We are the same. I mean, we get happy when our family is having a good life, and we get sad when they don't have that. So yeah. Do we need a break, or shall I just keep on telling about my work, how I started my minority work in Oslo?
Kim, actually, just go back to on the slides so we can start at the correct place.
Sure.
Yeah, so I will do like this.
But I can speak while you do that.
You can speak while I'm bringing it up back again.
I'll do that though. When I was working at the organized crime division, I detected early that when we were arresting people with another ethnicity than Norwegian, or we were searching the houses, I detected that a lot of the women in the families, they did not speak our language, Norwegian. And they've been living in Norway. I was starting to ask them, how long have you been living in Norway? And some said 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. And one lady, she'd been living here for 38 years and she couldn't speak our language. And I was thinking, that is a waste. You don't know the language, you know, why? You can't participate in work, in your kids' schoolwork. You can't read the news. You are really alone, sort of, or just with the people who speak your language. And I was thinking, why aren't they speaking it? Is it because they are not allowed by their husbands, or do they don't want to? Or this was growing inside me like a pregnancy. And I was thinking, somebody needs to do something about that. But then I realized that somebody is often yourself when you have an idea. So what I did, though, I went down to the leaders who worked with on the Division for Crime Prevention. And I told them that, you know, I want to work with the minority women in Oslo, or capital. And the boss looked at me and he said, nobody has ever done that, you know. And he said, I have to go to, I have to ask the other leaders, you know, at the police station about that, and I'll come back to you. So he came back to me some weeks later and he said, it's okay, you can do that, but you have to deliver. Like, it was easier to deliver on organized crime with kilograms, with drugs, with weapons, stolen goods, and things that you can count, you know, and see. So I was thinking, how do I deliver with people? But I was thinking, I'll figure out. And I have delivered. I had to tell you though. Here well, I was knocking on all the mosques, all the NGOs that I knew that there were minority women inside. And it was a painstaking work though. I was knocking for like 4 months before anybody opened up for me. There was always a man who opened the door when I knocked, and it was always a man who shut it in my face. And I said, hi, my name is Kim, I'm a police officer. Do you have any women's group here that I can meet? And he said, no. And he just slammed the door. And that happened like time after time, week after week, month after month. But then after about 4 months, you know, the door opened to one of the first mosques that I went back, you know, I came back and back, you know, like a salesperson that people don't want to have on your door though. But I came back, I never gave up though. And even my colleagues said to me, Kim, you have to stop though. Nobody will ever open up for you. But, you know, I grew up with brothers, and when they told me that you're too little, you're a girl, you can't do that, you know, then I got this extra gut, you know, I'm going to show them, you know, and nothing is impossible if you haven't tried it, at least. So this is what I was thinking though. But the door opened. I was invited inside. The ladies here on the picture are the first group that invited me and welcomed me. And then they were really curious about me when I come in there, and they thought, you know, maybe I had a second agenda, maybe I was there to spy on them for their children's welfare, you know, to snatch their kids or things like that. And I understand, you know, why they had that attitude towards the police, because a lot of the people coming from places outside Europe, you know, they are used to a corrupt police that you can't trust and stuff like that. So I understand them though. So it took time for me to build that trust. Like I said earlier, it's not an overnight miracle to build that bridge and prove for them that you can trust me and I can help you. So after a while though, all the doors opened in all the mosques and NGOs around in Oslo and Norway. And I had lots to do though. And I was doing presentations for the women about equal rights. We were having first aid courses, as you see here, and they got diplomas, you know, that they could put on their CVs, you know. We did things with them, and I asked them, what do you want to hear, you know, and they wanted to have the rules about how to bring up a child in Norway, because all violence is banned. And how do we do it, you know? And I told them, you take part in your kids' education, in the schools, you know, be interested, don't get so many kids so you can't follow them up, you know. I could tell them all this, and they listened to me though. And after a while, you know, I gathered like, because I gathered a lot of women together in the cooperation forum, as you see here though. And I started with like, the first time I started with 125 women, because the location wasn't bigger, couldn't hold more people. Then we expanded, you know, and there was 250. And then we had 90 different religions under the same roof with women, and we had a workshop there. And we were just women. There was so much more than that connected us, than divided us. And nobody talked about religion or politics or stuff like that. We were just women, sisters. And some of the women, they had trouble finding like friends when I lived in Norway. And then I saw that they exchanged telephone numbers, and it made me so happy. And this work went on and on, and more people were hired to do this kind of work. And then I was asked to go abroad to do my presentation for OSSE, Operation for Security and Cooperation in Europe, International Association for Women Police, for International Police Association. And I've been to Germany, to Gimborn, telling about this. And after a couple of years, the mothers asked me if I wanted to do a kickoff with or bring their girls to a weekend camp, because they said, our girls, we are very strict with the girls, we don't want to for them to go to school trips, because when they aren't married, we want to, they keep them at home very strict though. And they said, we trust you, do you want to take them on the weekend trip? And I say yes, very easy though, and I did. And so we filled a bus, a load with 70 young girls, and we went to this, it used to be an army camp, but now they have kickoff there for companies and for different groups of people who wants, and they were having a time of their life there. And then, they told me how hard it is to grow up in like one foot in two cultures, one foot in a Norwegian culture and one foot in their culture where they come from, and the rules are very different than it is to be a young person in Norway. So I gave them good advices, and I also talked to their moms, in the mosque, that when you decide to live in Norway, you can't be that strict, so they only have to wear religious clothes, and because then they are picked on at school, we have to sort of see what is important now. And so a lot of them got easier lives, and I said, it's very good to have your culture, to practice on your language and all that, but when you decide to live in Norway, there are other rules, and the kids are born here, a lot of them, and they go to school, and we have to do the very best together for them to get a good life, and good education. And so I was talking to the parents, and I still have good contact with a lot of these women, though, even though I quit working with this kind of job though. So here I'm inside on the Friday prayer, and that is absolutely just for men though. But I asked the imam if I could come in there, and I was talking to the fathers, the men inside there, and I was talking about fatherhood, how important it is for the fathers to take part in their kids' life. To ask them, what are you doing today, to tell them that you're proud of your kids, because in a lot of cultures, it's the women's job to bring up the kids, But I said in Norway, we have to take part of it together. So that was very good though, to tell them, and to encourage them. And some of the days that I've been working with this are demanding days though. But some ladies, when I'm having a presentation, they just come to me with a piece of paper with a telephone number on, and they said, please call me tomorrow between 9 and 12. My husband hits me, I'm having a bad life, So that happened a lot of times, and we went home to help people, and they got better lives, A lot of the men, we had to report, and they had to go to prison because they kept on, with their violence and their abuse, So some of the families, the mothers and the kids, had to move to other places far away in Norway, and starting their life over again though, because nobody should live with abuse and forced and controlled like some of these ladies did. So a lot of people got a better life. And I always told the ladies when they were so heartbroken and they came to me and they were crying in my office, and I said, I'm going to help you, and I'm going to lend you my hope. I have a lot of hope. And because they told me I don't have any more hope, life is just terrible. And I said, I'll lend you my hope, and you can give it back to me. Then you have your own, then I can give it to somebody else, And one lady, you know, that I helped, though, she had 6 kids and she had a terrible life, though. And we met her husband. We went to prison. She called me 5 years later and she said that, you know, my dream was to become a teacher. And now I have 1 more year at the teacher school, you know, and then I am a teacher, you know. She could fulfill her dream, though. And I think we should be helpers to do this. And we have the opportunity to do that. So I've seen that time after time, you know, you can be that person that makes a change for these ladies and the kids too, though, because and I told them too, though, that now you are a role model for your kids, you know, and I think we all should be role models for others. I mean, we could be the role model that we wish that we had when we were growing up, if we didn't have one. We can do that. We can do it all the time. You know, we don't have to be 20 or 30 or 50. You can do it now. So here I've been doing presentations in Vienna. I've been all around the world, though. I've been to Australia, to former Soviet Union, to Africa, Europe. Here on one of the pictures there on the right, we are in Anchorage in Alaska. Here we are in on the right-hand side in Australia, Cairns. May-Britt was there too. And the other picture is from a mosque, though. I mean, here I am in Turkmenistan, in former Soviet Unions. People are people wherever you go, though. This is in Tbilisi, Georgia, in former Soviet Union. And I meet a lot of people that becomes dear friends too, though. This is Calgary, Canada, International Association of Women Police conferences. And here again in Alaska. So I think that one person can do a difference, and that makes ripple effects, you know, like when you throw a stone into the water, it's ripple effects, you know, that you can see later. Like May-Britt said, though, I was thinking of writing my book for 30 years when I started in the police, though. And I had this book signing, I have to say that, you know, and that was in the end of January. And this lady came to me when I was having my book signing, and she said, "Do you remember me?" And I meet a lot of people, and I said, "You have to give me some hints, though." And she said, "My name is," she told me her name, and she said, "You were at my house, you know, in 2006. And then I was about to get forced married, you know, to somebody I didn't want to." She was very young then. And she said, "You helped me so that didn't happen." And that again has now resulted in my sisters and my cousins. They are not forced married either. We could choose, though, because you helped us. So I think that makes me happy, you know, like you can do one thing for one person and it can make ripple effects in the future. Yeah. So yeah, May-Britt.
Yes. Well, one reason behind that we invited Kim today to this webinar is that she is the first one to receive the International Police Association World Class Policing Award, and that was in 2023. I will open up so you can see the full text, all of you. So, and it was a number of candidates that was nominated to the International Police Association, and it's a number of people around the world from all the continents that got some kind of academic training and connection to policing that served as judges, and they came up with Kim as the overall winner. It's a prize that contains both a glass piece, a kind of certification, and a sum of money that can be used for whatever the person are choosing to use it for. And I never go back and ask, but I know that Kim is a clever woman, so she will use it for something good for herself or for something that she got a good heart for. And I just would like to mention that this is for us absolutely fantastic to bring you on the seminar today, so you have the chance to tell how you felt when you had information about that you received the award.
Well, when I first got the mail, with my name on, I was thinking, I'm nominated. That's awesome, But to be honest, I never thought I was going to win at all. So when I got the mail in the end of November, that I was the overall winner, I didn't even tell my husband, because I thought, this is a mail to the wrong person. I'm about to receive another mail now. Sorry, this was meant for somebody else, not you. So I was thinking, wow. So then in the evening, when my husband come home from work, he's a police officer too, though, I told him and I showed him that mail, and he said, are you crazy? Don't you understand it's for you? I said, really? And it was for me then, So so that was really, I was so amazed though. And I said, thank you again though. I didn't even expect that at all.
Yeah, we are very proud about that you received it and what you've done and what you continue to do, Kim. So I want you to move over to what's called in English the police heart, because you mentioned that you wanted to do something else. And I remember when you told me the first time that you had an idea to try to write a book. And please tell us about your journey to this book, because here is one picture that was in one of the magazines in Norway telling about your book. But please tell us about the journey.
I'll do that, thank you. Since I started in 1990, I was, like I told you, amazed, and I was shocked, about everything that a police officer that I experienced, all these families, all this mystery. So I was thinking, the world needs to know about this, and Norway needs to know about this. So I was thinking, I'm going to make a book when I'm retired, So I started to write down stories. I have this little book that I'm starting, and I called the book though Concrete Lilies, actually. But then when I wrote the book, I wanted to name it The Police Heart, because I felt that it means a lot though. Because the concrete lilies, I think the people I met, they're nice people, and they're working on hard concrete. And there are people like you and I, and nobody's better or worse than others, It's just that you were dealt with a bad hand, and you were born into a family that was poor and dysfunctional. So I started to write the book, and I just wrote some stories, and I wrote from 3 different divisions that I worked on: the Public Order Department, the Organized Crime, and the Division for Crime Prevention. So I write some stories from each of those divisions, and I share the stories from the people that touched my heart. It was totally opposite from my own upbringing, and I see that these people, they are exactly the same as me, with their feelings, with their wishes, with their dreams for the future. But from they were little, and they were told, don't wish for anything. One boy told me that one time he came home to his dad because he had such good grades, and the father said to him, though, why do you think you are going to become anything? Nobody from our family has ever been anything. We are on benefits, and I'm sure you're going to be on that too. This is what I mean by people who, or words can push people down, and our words can also lift people up. So I wanted to be that person that lifted people up, don't push them down. So I wrote a book, and I did it in between when I was in Addis Ababa and my mother passed away. So I had to arrange the funeral. There was 1 year that I had to do a lot, actually. So I went to, and I was thinking when I was writing, it can happen that no publisher is interested at all in this, and it's a little small needle eye to come through, A lot of authors are, they are writing good books and stuff like that. So I sent it to 3 different publishers, and I was amazed, though everybody wanted it. So I chose like one that I'm very happy, Bonnier's Publishers. And they were so happy, and they said, this is so good, you hit a nerve in the society, among people, about your stories. And I want to share like one story with you that is quite short. Yeah, here you can read. Like I said, some stories are too true to be told, but nevertheless, I want you to try though. So
well,
I can read.
For Kim, this is a translation from the start of her book on the draft she wrote from the very beginning. It's a Word document that I've been one of the few to be allowed to read, and I did a translation of it because I thought this is exactly how it was in the very start, and how I don't know if you walked with your children to the childcare or school, or if you drove them to that, and then how you went directly to the police school, and how you went out on the streets to meet all these people. And I think we are many women in policing that can connect to you, but you put word onto it. And I felt very moved when I read this because I could see myself in it. And that's the reason why I put this text on, to highlight that you found the words for us. And I think that there are many women out there that would be able to also write this for us. And it's just that my PowerPoint is not working. Here is a story that I have chosen you to tell. You remember the young man who made comment about your body?
Do you want me to tell that one? Yeah, I can tell that, and then I don't know what time we have left though, but I'll start with that. I have another story I wanted to share too though. Yeah, in Norway in Oslo, I mean, we have 5 schools that take care of foreigners who come to Norway, and they have to go through like 300 hours to learn Norwegian, like in the school. And they have to do 70 hours to learn about the society. So I was asked by the principal if I wanted to come and teach there about the rules and regulation in Norway, and how to live the best life possible. So and I forgot to say though, when I started to knock on all the doors to the mosques, I heard that the first door that was slammed in my face, I heard somebody speaking behind the door because I was standing listening, when I got the door in my face, and I heard that they spoke Arabic, and I was thinking, I'm going to learn Arabic. So I just signed up for university 2 weeks later. So I'm still practicing Arabic every day though. I went 3 years to university, in the evenings and stuff. And then but now I'm just doing it on this app, Duolingo, every day though, just to keep it fresh though. So I went to this class with about 80 foreigners. They have to go there because if you want to be a citizen, you have to go through all this and other things too though. But they're actually paid to go there because this is part of what they're paid to get a living when they come as asylum seeker or immigrants. So I came in there, and I was wearing my uniform, and I went from classroom to classroom. So they had a reset, a break. So I went through the door to the next classroom. And these 2 men, though, were standing though beside the door, and they didn't even have a clue that I could speak Arabic or understand anything. They saw, oh, she's blonde. She probably don't even understand English, So the guy mentioned, something about my private parts, when I was walking in there, and what my body. And I turned around and I said, that's really not nice for you to do that, And he was just so red in his face, the blushed, because I spoke back to him in Arabic. And he looked like I hit his face almost. And he said, do you understand Arabic? And I said, yes, Naam in Arabic. And then everybody came around, 80 people to listen to this teacher, Norwegian blonde police, speaking to this guy. And he said, why do you speak Arabic? You're blonde. And I said, so you think that the intelligence sits in the hair? And he looked at me and he said, yes. And I said, it's too bad then, because you're bald, you know, you don't have any hair, you know, so what about your intelligence then? And I said, if you are going to join my lesson, you have to come inside and be quiet, you know, and I don't want you to speak like that at all. And he was like, I think he wanted to hit me, you know, but he didn't do that, you know, that wouldn't be very smart of him though. But anyway, though, in that lesson, I was teaching extra, you know, about the democracy. I mean, you are so lucky to come to Norway. You know, you can get the best life ever. You know, to get education, your kids can go to school for free, you know, and you get medical for free and stuff like that. But if you can also get the worst life if you just look at our democracy and find faults, you know, with our democracy and our rules, you know. And I said that then you should move to another place, you know, if you are just looking at our democracy and finding wrong things about that. So anyway, though, everybody listens, you know, and when I was leaving, the lady who translated came to me and she said, he feels that you've been stepping on his honor. I said, really? Well, why don't you ask him to come here so he can talk about that? But he didn't want to come though. So it's hard for many people to see that women and men are equal here, you know, but I'm so happy, you know, that we live in a world, I mean, a place, not a world though, because I live in Norway and I know a lot of women, they don't have this opportunity. That's why we have to try to help them, you know. But anyway, this work grew a lot though. Do I have like time for one example from my book?
We got like 3 minutes left, Kim, and
Okay.
I don't know if there are any questions as it is.
Sure.
But yeah, so I just would like to mention before we continue for a short little story of 2 minutes that Kim will receive a very honorary prize on the 27th of April. It's the Arne Næss Honorary Award, and you need to have special commitments, and you need to be working with things that you've done more than expected to receive this prize. And I think this is also one of those fantastic things that happens in your life. And finally, after many years in policing and working hard, you will receive all the glory. So I just would like to say congratulations beforehand.
Thank you.
And we take one story for 2 minutes, and then we need to make a closure.
Okay. One story that I have in my book is when we were patrolling in Oslo, and down by the railway station, where there are a lot of like drug addicts, they're hanging around there. And so this security guard came to us and he said, there are some noises from the toilet down in the basement here. And I'm knocking on the door, but nobody opens and I can't open the door from outside. So we went down there with him, my colleague and I, and we opened the door. We had this little Swiss Army knife. It was easy to open. And like I said in the beginning, you are not prepared for what you see and what you meet, you know, in our job though. And we open a door. Here is this lady. She has a syringe in her arm, you know, her head is leaning on one side and she has a belt on her forearm, you know, and she is dead of an overdose. Because we went to feel if she had any pulse or anything, you know, and we called the ambulance. But then, you know, on the side there was this big coat hanging on, I remember it was green actually, hanging on this garbage bag there. And suddenly there were something moving under the coat. And I was thinking, is it a rat or is it a dog? You know, I was like, and I lifted the coat up. And there was this little girl, 3 years old, sitting there, you know, so scared, you know. And this was her mom. And she was dead of an overdose, you know. And this little girl was about 3 years old and she was screaming, you know, trying to hold on to her mom. And she said, Mommy, Mommy, don't let the lady take me away from you. It was heartbreaking, you know. And we had to bring this little girl to the child welfare. And she was screaming and scratching me all the way. And she had peed her pants, you know. And that made such a deep impression on me. This is one of my chapters in the book, though. And I was thinking, poor little girl, you know. And when I went home, you know, when I was driving home, many times when I experienced a lot of hard things, I was crying, you know, because this was so hard though. But so I went back to the children's welfare some weeks later, and I asked, do you know what happened to that little girl? You know, because I was thinking of her. And the lady said, we were trying to do all the research we could though, but it seems like this mom has had this baby alone, you know. She's not registered at any hospital or anything though. So I really pray and hope that she went to a good foster home, you know, and had a good life though. I don't know what happened to her, but such things makes deep impressions in our heart though when you experience this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Kim.
Sorry, can I?
Very, very touching. Well, we got Tara that raised her hand, so she is the first one to be able to forward a question or make a comment. Please, Tara.
Sorry, can I interrupt before that? Because the chat is disabled and we cannot ask any question.
Pardon?
Chat is disabled. We cannot write any question for Ms.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Kim.
Yeah, but you can forward your questions this way instead. I will give the option for two of you. So Tara is number one. She was the first one to raise her hand.
Wonderful, thank you. I just have a question. I've looked all through Amazon and everything. Is there a link for your book, Kim? I can't find it in Canada anywhere.
No, sorry, it's not translated into English yet. We are waiting for an agent who wants to do that, you know, and if you know about any, I'll be happy to know that. So my publisher said we have to find one, you know, and it takes time, but I'll tell you all when it comes though. Yeah, sorry.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, hi. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I just wanted to kind of compliment Ms. Kim for her book. Although I haven't read, but listening to her, it gives me a hint what I will be reading once it's translated into English. My question for Ms. Kim is related to her experience in working with women of minorities, belonging to minorities that are coming from different culture to Norway. And my question is, have you ever worked with Norwegian society in order to let them know about your experience with minority women and let them know that what brings them apart can also bring them together because they share same concerns, same worries. There's a lot of these things that bring them together rather than those that separate them. So my question is, have you worked with your society?
Thank you. Yes, I have though. All the time we did that, you know, like when I had the cooperation forums and invited, you know, like the people that worked in the society, who worked at school, you know, who worked at the medical care, you know, and from the government even, you know, like I was there presenting for the government, telling about all this, you know. Yes, so I have that, you know, and they are well informed and they know about all this work and they try, you know, to intervene, you know, as often as they can though. But I think we have to do more all the time. It's not enough, I think.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Kim, for sharing this part of your life and your policing time and also what you've done. And we do hope that the book will come in English, as it seems to be not too complicated to translate into the language from Norwegian. We are so happy that we had you on the webinar today. And for our participants, I would like to tell that Kim is sharing her email so you can write your questions, or there is also a possibility to use her telephone number and use the WhatsApp for connections. When it comes to our webinars, I would like to say that there is a webinar number 2 that is upcoming, and on the 15th of May is the next one, and it will be UK time 1500 3 p.m. UK time. So for the Central European it will be 1 hour later. And we also, if you in the meantime don't know what to do, there is a series of interviews that is done with interesting people, and this is just a few of all that halfway you can listen to through the Policing TV, the playlist that is for IPA Insight, and there will be more upcoming that also are on this list. So welcome to join us for interviews and for webinars in the future. And thank you a million to Kim Hiorth from Norway, the book writer, the police officer, and the UN woman that do so lot for every one of us and sharing her life story. Thank you, Kim.
Thank you. Bye. Have a good life, everybody.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome.